Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings right here at the Tree of Life. I'm your host, Jerome Sage Butler. I am at home with the wonderful presence of Delisha Parkinson, my sister Phoebe, and just a good atmosphere as always. It's a beautiful emergence in the seasons of spring. And as things spring to life, we are once again regenerated to life and henceforth to live in the abundance of this life. It is a joy, to be in your presence through this video medium and through the internet, and that connection that comes through word, sound, and essence and energy, and for quality of presence, and of being. It is always good when people can share, communicate, even telepathically, the most innermost thoughts and feelings of strivings towards satisfying the need to know the presence, the need to know one's sense of belonging, where one fits into the grand puzzle, the grand matrix of it all. And who is the grand architect of this great design and these endless formulations through formula that leads to end results? Lots of qualitative analysis. I think we're in the point along my reasoning, let's say scheme or scope of things, that I'm beginning to recognize that at certain points more thoughtful, insightful information can be presented. And I think in essence, along the flow of things, I think this is one of those moments. So enough of my short preamble, because I don't think this video might be so long. Beyond my short preamble, we are examining the divine, unlocking the divine coding. So unlocking our divine coding, unlocking the divine coding. So before we even begin to unlock our divine coding, I guess we have to look up the word divine in our concepts and our consciousness and the word coding, right? That would seem like it's fair, right? So let's go an attempt at divine. So how it's been presented to us over the years, one can then consider that the word divine is a suggestion that something that is a little bit beyond the average human experience, perception of events or things or of the actual event of life. So divine suggests that it was before or some part to do with the actualization of created beings. So divine in essence suggests, celestial, godly, supreme. There's a lot of superlatives, I'm sure, to describe what divine is. I guess in human manifestation, divine seems to be a kind of a holy person. Holy meaning, as how we've given the word holy, means like clean, respectful, well-adjusted, righteous, person that is tending on to weighing things to come up always with just end results. And so we can see all that has to do with the essence of what divine is in manifestation, like Christ is divine. So divine is in the realms of the higher consciousness, the higher beings, the realms of God, right? Coding then, as given to us, suggests some kind of a hidden pattern, patent, a hidden meaning, right? Some kind of configuration that needs a specific awareness to unlock. It's like a puzzle piece in a hierarchical presentation of information, and how one learns the code and then applies the code. So the unlocking would then be the way in which one interprets or is then clarified in knowing that this is what the formula for the coding suggests. And hence, by using the formula like an alphabet, you can come up with the word structure, the structure of messages, right? Or meanings within this coding. You can go even further to suggest that we know coding as like encryption, right? That there's some form of logos that is being applied through some advanced knowledge structure, and then it is encoded. You understand? It is encrypted, and this inscription or this encryption then begins to be written within a strange language. So that means that hidden messages, meanings, and information is contained within these codings. So we got divine and we got coding, unlocking our divine coding. Why do we need to unlock our divine coding? Good question. Okay. Can we establish that there is a divine coding first of all? I guess the spirit wants that. Many humans come to the planet. We are born of our mothers and our fathers through their intercourse and their interactions that led to intercourse or whatever they may be. We are born into this world. There is not an answer given to us, but many questions, few answers given as to why we are here. It automatically comes up that there is a suggestion that the human life could be more than just a waste of material energy and some sphere spinning in the middle of nowhere. There's always been this notion that the human life itself is a divine occurrence, not no great accident. So, though it is that cultures over time seemed to have tended away from the premise of a divine existence in man, or man as divine existence, they moved away into man just being pure existence, right? So people might say, Jerome, it's a word. And we go through this several times, but if you're first watching these videos, so let's go at it. It is a word. Divine is a word. It was made by men. So can we just agree that divine is a word that's written by men, right? Okay, so we know that. We know it's a word we're talking about, right? But let's just agree that the word represents something settled in our consciousness, in our being, in our behavior. So we already went to what divine suggests, right? So we're just looking at it that there is a divine premise on human life. So if there's a divine premise on human life, then it seems that through culture, one either is encoded in the right manner or encrypted in the right manner or basically left out of the coding. So society has handed us a man at the top hierarchy and a pyramid structure in the overlord system, right? And so this structure suggests a man formed, or woman, man and woman formed, shaped in a iniquitous energy, meaning unbalanced, hence untenable, tending on to self-destruction, unbalanced energy. So that doesn't set the premise for any kind of divine interpretation. Hence, the need now to unlock that divine coding. Because if we can establish that there is a divine written law within the cosmos that is written upon the very sheath and the fabric of what is human life, what is human existence, what is indeed existence, that divine is established. But how do we perceive that divine as the existence we are without this notion of existentialism? First, let's continue. First, let's examine ways in which the premise of divine could manifest within our reality. There are individuals who manifest from time to time during the spectrum of human life through thousands of year parallel that have similarities in biological appearances and energy, presentation of a vibrational frequency, knowledge, and a way of shaping human character. Over time, people have seen that these characters overlap, one even suggesting that they are the same personality. So suggesting to us the premise of divine on the human spectrum is clearly apparent. The great outpouring of knowledge. I will not mention anyone to satisfy the notion of those who want to weigh this knowledge in their own thinking. I'm saying to you, it is evident. Clearly look at it. There are humans who are out of the spectrum of the measure of what is carnal man. They go above the realms. Are women that are above the realms of carnality. A divine attribute has been ascribed to them to balance the argument of the divine as human existence within human life, not a fallen existence. There is a point where man descended from his ascended place. That is divine. Now these divine entities reminded us that there is something left within us. Do you see why I had to go this way to get to my point? They reminded us that there is a coding within the human psyche. That is the God code. That is the divine code. Symbol. And this coding is being approached through ideations. Ideations such as faith, some forms of knowledge-based systems, mathematical calculations. Some are like scientific assertions or postulations. You have the philosophical or the poetic, right? And these things seem to want to stem to stretch rather into the divine and bring out this kind of a cognitive coding of divine reality. So let's continue. If it is that within the human coding there is this divine entity, energy, presence, and being, to unlock that energy is to go first within the ambits of what is self and presence to examine divine coding. So let's get onto our argument. Unlocking our divine coding, encoding. Truly, Yah, being Supreme Creator, knew exactly how it is that he would have designed existence and how existence would have flowed in construct and in continuity. The premise of the Creator creating beings is real. It's not a premise. It is existence. It is what it is. So when you remove from thought process of saying, well, this could be what it is to what it is, the divine begins to become active. First, code breaking. Stop the philosophizing. Life is real. God is real. First breaking of a code. So the celestial existence is the real existence, and it is manifest as our biological. So how do we get to psychological and to the celestial? We go through our emotions. We go through our feelings, through our emotive thoughts. These thoughts that generate energy, that attract energy. Breaking coding. So our emotions have been trained to dislike ourselves, to dislike nature, to be very disrespectful. No, you can't twist my tongue. To be very disrespectful to the very nature of our existence, and such. This disrespect has become materialized as the very existence, hence losing the original code to the divine realms. So your emotions have to be within your natural ambits, within your natural premise, within your natural, I don't want to say that C word, within your natural responses, alertness, presence, or senses. You must first begin to recognize the emotions are like the very coding system of the divine law. When one begins to truly see the compassion within the proper and right organization of emotive thoughts and behaviors, one begins to recognize what is existence. The material thoughts to make material man works because man has materialized materialism. Man has materialized a godless existence. So the code is to first know God is real. Not an ideation, not a philosophy, not a sound way of thinking, but the actual way that it is. Establish truth as truth, not as belief, nor opination, nor opinion. It is truth. It is actual. So the actuality is that those who seek him ceaselessly, endlessly, with all your being, will find him, will find the divine. Settle. The coding is the divine language that has been left within our psyche. It's been left within our hearts. Because within the lotus of the heart, Christ has taken residence. That within the channeling of your biological flow of the blood that really furnishes the body with the very life force, it is also the cosmic life force that puts the being in a magnetic and vibratory alignment that makes the lower realms of consciousness become very much like how we look at ants. They are like little vermin that we can spray something and destroy them. However our opinions of them are, it's just the way it is. So what we call the traction to release is a coding system that is specifically made a certain way, because dense energy fields that are distracted, morbid, and out of alignment cannot unlock the code. Because the code comes in yet the subtle of the most subtle of the most subtlest of knowings. It is not purely an intellectual language or a language that is wholly sacrosanct unto religious tradition or spiritual tradition. Many of those who come to attempt to externalize the internal pathways, but neither have found way to liberation. So let us go again to our codes. All of the prophets, the matriarchs and the patriarchs, they told us there is a certain way to live within this plane. The very strong resistance we face within reality is to move away from those constant negatives, those constant restraints that makes it virtually impossible at times to be freed from this construct of this carnality. No one will make it easy within this reality, because the true code really liberates. All of the patriarchs, the matriarchs told us there is a way of life that gives life to us being aware of the presence of the divine, of us being able to share in the kingdom with the divine. None had forgotten to make mention of this. In each of their statements are the codes, the patterns to unlock these codes, these encodings of divine within us. Humans, through limited thought process, think themselves to be merely a iniquitous being, an equitous being that is almost always prone to destructive, unhealthy behaviors. But it's almost strange to say to such a human that you are limitless in possibility, stronger than your wildest imagination, that eternity is what flows through you. If it is that the infinite, the eternal is what flows through you, and you live from the limited that is but a moment in the spectrum of the infinite, then one's limitation will fall away like a brief second. But that which is unmeasurable, that which is eternal, being your source, being your being, is a divine manifestation. It is not limited by your thought processes, nor the ways in which your cognitive thoughts, your cognitive behaviors come together as your lifestyle. So it is not a purification per se of a perfect lifestyle. It is that there is a wavelength, a frequency that we can attract, connect to by first removing from ourselves the behaviors that pull us away from source energy, from the presence of the divine. All our codes are just these emotional keys that remind us that greed and selfishness and jealousy and bitterness are but distractions that pull us from the attraction of the divine law, of the fulfillment of the divine law. So the coding is constant within manifestation. We can see it everywhere. We can see how human beings over time, through self-examination, have unlocked these reservoirs of clarity and clairvoyance. We can truly see how it is that something is truly hidden within the human construct, within the human consciousness, within the human desires and emotions. Now, I put desire in there not to wholly make desire be a bitter pill we suffer within the sigil magics and the bitter pills we suffer within the simulation. I dropped desire in there to show you that desire also has its place. That though I have conjured, configured a thought of my own self, yet the source of the infinite has matched that form. So even the very premise of desire shows us that there is an active principle of which I have become a part of, apportioned into my manifestation, so I can see, right? So I see that desire, it still plays a part, but though it is one of the greatest mechanisms of the overlords to subjugate us, I can see where it is still a reflection, though on the opposite side of our virtue, of what it's truly all about. So we can get back into right alignment to now see that in actuality, when one allows the divine virtues to flow as our reality without conscripting them, without prior designing a reality, just flowing in what is divine, respecting nature as it is, seeing the animals, our cohabitation, our coexistence, this symbiosis as what it is that life within the spectrum of itself. Now, there are postulations that would force you to look out, to look around, but being present, you begin to feel yourself through the unlocking of this encoding as the entirety of it all. And hence, the limited spectrum of self-orienting views becomes obliterated, and the self-seeking egomaniac life is also obliterated. Subtle. It is all in sequence as the codes become unlocked. Seek to understand your emotionality. Seek to understand what triggers your feelings, your thoughts. Are they being prompted by the intensity of outside forces, forms of conformity coming as these thought waves of how to be appropriate in mannerisms or in behavior to attract benefit or value. A valueless society dangles a carrot of value added to us to make us feel that we are gaining something while we are truly losing. It's a profit and loss system of inequity. But the eternal, which is completely equitable, already has given all unto you. Because we have lost the knowledge of the divine encoding, we have forgotten how to sojourn with Yah, how to fellowship with Yah, outside the premise of carnality. Seek more within your own presence, not to challenge the morbid structures outside, but to challenge the lacklusterness, lukewarm nature of your applications inside. So that is where true worth will be made manifest. The codes, like I say, are always present. All great teachers reminds us of them in a language that is appropriate for each age, an encryption that is appropriate for each age, a poetic presentation of the design ensemble. It is more than just the listening ear to perceive and the tongue to postulate. There is an essence that is within us. When connected with, when allowed to become who we are, how we are, the divine comes really closer. We go closer to the divine. And alas, the divine life becomes manifest. It is like your worlds within worlds. That though the lower realms do operate, where you are, your thoughts add life unto the lifeless. Being in the immortal, infinite nature of your magnificence is not an ego stance to beat your chest like a crowned dog. It is to say, I am greatest servant of I am. For I am that I am, giving all unto all, receiving all from all, being thankful unto all for all. Being thine own is an afterthought. For all is thine, thine is all. For within that is knowing. The codes are breaking. That which leads unto carnality, jealousy, selfishness, splintering unto separatism, all manner of division, philosophical, socio-political, political, religious and political. It has been a cacophony of these thought processes, taking us away from the infinite presence of eternal knowing and eternal being. The codes are clear. The divine is real. The infinite eternal realms is real. Many are caught up in heavy desire-based consciousness that are unceasing and unfulfilling, because their only premise is to live from the energy that is garnered from your disappointments. That which supports your awakening lives within you, so that you live, it lives through you. That is how you live. So it does not take from itself, if you want me to bring it down. It does not take from itself. It only adds to itself, because in essence, it is itself. But when we have become selfish, not selfless, when we are selfish, we detach from the infinite and seek for a personal gratification. Now the complication of personality indifferences have caused havoc on the plane. They are tools of our overlords. They revel in the premise that this makes things corporetic, chaotic rather, in their reality. It's still corporetic for them. It doesn't trouble the infinite. What it is a rippling onto unconnected souls, detached souls. Break from your